Today is Thursday, October 28th, 2021. I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we have continued public hearings, stormwater and site plan review, common driveway for 533 Country Way, with immediate continuance to December 9th, 2021. Is there a motion for that, Karen?
I have one right here.
All right, you
Should
read
be
it.
right on top of your pile.
Well, I was moving things. Thank you. I move to accept the applicant's request to continue the public hearing for the stormwater permit and the public meeting for the site plan administrative review for common driveway at 533 Country Way until December 9, 2021 at 6:30 p.m. and to continue the time for action for filing with the town clerk until February 25, 2022.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Done.
Go.
Okay, next, we have a public hearing for Scenic Road at 293 First Parish Road. Okay, I had that here. I was being very careful. Here we go. Okay, in accordance with Mass General Laws, Chapter 40, Section 15C, the Scenic Road Act, the Planning Board will hold a public hearing on Thursday, October 28, 2021, at 6:30 p.m. in the Select Board Hearing Room, 600 Chief Justice Cushing Highway, Scituate, Mass. The subject of the hearing is the removal of 14 linear feet of stone wall in the public right-of-way of First Parish Road for the construction of a circular driveway to service the existing home at 293 First Parish Road for applicant Ryan and Audrey Cray. Work is located at Assessors Map 38-12-4A. Plans are available for review in the Planning Board Office, Town Hall, 600 Chief Justice Cushing, Scituate by appointment only. Please call the Planning Board at 781-545-8730 for additional information. Abutters and other interested parties are invited to attend. All right, Scenic Road.
All right, so the applicant is out of town. They have a small baby, and without any power, they left their house. This is just a 14-inch in the stone wall. No trees in the public right-of-way are going to be removed. They might do some limbing up of a few trees so to improve the sight lines. The DPW, we received a comment, takes no exception to the curb cut application, and there are a few branches, suckers on the nearby trees that should be removed to improve sight lines. They'll also be moving a sign further down the road in accordance with, because it's in the proposed driveway, and DPW has no problem with them relocating the sign.
What are they going to do with the stones, the rocks?
They're gonna try to fix up the stone wall a little bit.
All right, comments from the board. Comments from the public.
I have,
Oh, well, excuse me.
can I ask a question about, it says limited addition above the garage? That's not what we're talking about though, right?
No, that was already, they got approved for a section 6 finding
Okay.
to put an addition. They've just spent all this time redoing the house. The driveway's gonna be seashells, and they're under the impervious threshold for a stormwater permit.
Okay,
I'm
thank you.
sorry, Patty. Okay, anybody in the public, from the public that would like to comment? Okay. I move to close the Scenic Road Act public hearing and approve the removal of 14 linear feet of stone wall to provide for a circular driveway at 293 First Parish Road address. Existing stones removed will be used to restore and repair the existing stone wall. The applicant will notify the town planner 48 hours before stone removal and provide pictures of the existing stone wall. This approval is contingent on a curb cut permit being issued by DPW and is only for the stone wall removal, as no trees in the right-of-way of First Parish Road are planned to be removed. Is there a second?
Second. Yep.
Further comment? All in favor? Aye. Okay, that's that. All right, moving rapidly along. Lot release, Lot 442 Holly Crest.
Hi.
Hi.
So, we were here last meeting. We provided Karen, worked with Karen, provided her with the information that the board wanted. Was a plan that showed the extension of the water line to be no less than 6 inches in width, with no reducers from the end of the line to the opposite side of the proposed driveway with a hydrant. So I think that was pretty much it. And I think Karen has collaborated with a couple of department heads, and they're satisfied. So we're asking the board to vote to release the lot from the affidavit.
Karen?
So Al Elliott of the fire department is happy because the driveway now has radii, so that the fire truck will be able to turn in and turn around, because the gate to the public parking lot is usually closed at night. And the DPW is very happy with the comment on the water line, and it's noted on the plan that it's 14,500 square feet of disturbance, less than 15,000, so technically they don't need a stormwater permit. So I think that it is, in accordance with the discussion last time, acceptable to go ahead and release the lot.
Okay. Comments from the board? Okay.
Seems like what we were asking for, and it looks like a reasonable
All right.
plan.
Steve?
No.
Anybody else have a comment that you'd like to make? I move to release Lot 4 Road from the restriction of development contained in the affidavit dated May 23, 1969, filed with Plymouth County Registry of Deeds, District of Land Court, as document 125919. The applicant will extend the 6-inch CLDI water pipe to connect the existing water pipe per DPW standards, with no reducers between the connection point and the proposed hydrant. This will provide domestic water and fire protection services to the proposed dwelling. An emergency vehicle turnaround of 20 by 40 feet with a 20-foot radii on each side of the turning area driveway will be provided. The present road is extended past the lot with a gravel road approximately 12 feet wide, with gravel and wood chip shoulders on each side, allowing the passage of vehicles to the lot. At this time, clearing is proposed at the 14,500 square feet, as shown on plan entitled Holly Crest Road. Water extension and emergency vehicle turnaround plan by Morse Engineering Company, Inc., dated 10/21/21. If there is an increase in disturbance of land over 15,000 square feet, if more than 25% of the undeveloped lot is rendered impervious, then a stormwater permit will be needed. Is there a second?
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Thanks for coming out tonight, everybody.
That's a walk.
Appreciate it.
Hey, we're all set.
People don't realize you guys
Good luck.
do it for free.
Somebody can come tomorrow to get the signed lot release. That has to be recorded.
Okay, yeah, so we signed acknowledge, just acknowledge, signed over.
That'll be done tomorrow.
Okay, great. Now
Okay.
things are moving forward.
All right.
Thank you all. See you guys.
Good night.
Yep.
Okay.
So before you go tonight, you have to sign the lot release.
Okay.
So that it can be,
All right, well, we have a few minutes before our next public hearing. Shall we just scoot it down table?
just the lot release, I'll have it notarized tomorrow.
Driftway.
Sure.
It's just the first one now.
Rebecca, do you have minutes?
I do. Would you like me to get this over with?
Yes.
I move to approve the minutes for October 14th, 2021.
Is there-
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Need to do accounting too?
Might as well.
I move to approve the requisition of $23.24 to WB Mason for office supplies, or $900 to Merrill Corporation for peer review for 16 Man Hill Road, or $25.36 to Peer Common 2 LLC for return of unexpended peer review funds.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that's that. We have another 3 minutes. I know, I love this part.
Welcome if you got them.
Yeah, smoke them if you have them. All right, so why don't we, before I read the notice of public hearing, those who are presenting may come up and sit.
So if anybody needs to charge their phone or anything, there's plenty of plugs along the outlets for those of you who don't have electricity, et cetera. We have plenty of outlets here for you to charge.
Will someone ever fix that clock?
No.
I'll ask Tom tomorrow.
Please.
I'm gonna climb up there, please.
Oh, you'll end up on your head. All right, Steve, give me the high sign when it's ready.
2 minutes.
2 minutes? Take me 2 minutes to read this.
I would say we're close enough.
Okay. In accordance with Mass General Laws, Chapter 40A, Sections 9 and 11, and with Scituate zoning bylaw, Section 580, Village Center and Neighborhood District, Section 750, Design Review, Public Hearing, Design Review, Section 770, Site Plan Review, and 940 referrals, the Planning Board will conduct a public hearing on Thursday, October 28, 2021, at 6:45 PM in the Select Board's Hearing Room, Scituate Town Hall, 600 Chief Justice Cushing Highway, Scituate. The subject of the hearing is an application submitted by applicant Driftway LLC for a site plan review and special permit for a multifamily building in the Village Center and Neighborhood District, Greenbush Driftway Gateway District, Gateway Business Subdistrict, VCN, GDG, GWB, regarding the construction of a multifamily building with 21 units, 39 bedrooms, associated parking, site utilities, and site amenities at the project location of 7 New Driftway. The property is owned by Joan Osceola, trustee of Shepherd Way Realty Trust. The property is shown on Assessors maps as parcels 53-05-37F. Plans are available for review in the Planning Board office, Town Hall, Scituate, by appointment only. Please call 781-545-8730. Abutters and other interested parties are invited to attend this public hearing. Okay, if you would introduce yourself, sir.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Frank Polak for Driftway LLC. I'd like to apologize, my team was unavailable this evening. I have a lawyer who's trapped in Duxbury, can't get out of her street, as you can all appreciate living in
Yes.
Scituate here. But I really value the input that the board may be able to provide me this evening, so I'm here.
Okay, so do you have a presentation, or is it exactly what we heard the last time?
It remains unchanged as to what you heard last time.
Okay.
We made a few site modifications based upon input we got. One was to provide a little recreational area, which we provided on site. We've gone ahead and engaged Weston and Sampson to provide DPW with a sewer study as requested. We've hired Jack Gilliam to provide a traffic report, which has been provided.
Yes.
And McKenzie Engineering has done all of the civil engineering for us. Unfortunately, the offices are in Norwell and unavailable.
And enough said about that.
I'm sorry, was there an earlier presentation on this?
Well, there was an informal discussion with the planning board several months ago.
Okay, I must have missed that.
Maybe you could just give a brief
Yes.
summary of what the project is, so that then the public and everybody can understand what you're doing, and then we can have some comments and questions.
For the benefit of people who don't know, this existing site is the site of the old medical building on site, which our intent is to tear it down and replace it with a new 21-unit building. This is our second variation. The first building was too large in working through different issues and bylaws, so we reduced it to the 21-unit building that we have now. There's 19 units in the main box, and there are two penthouse units on the roof, which by your bylaw is not visible. We have
These,
underground parking.
Are these condos or these apartments?
These would be condos.
Condos.
We have underground parking for every unit, and overflow parking and visitor parking in the adjacent entryway. Please, do you want to sit? The plan for us here is to provide a gated community, so there'll be no off-site people coming on to park as occurs there now. We also intend to get rid of remove all of the existing impervious pavement that's been there for years, and now provide a drainage system which will protect the brook from all the runoff and everything that goes into it at the present time.
Okay.
Questions?
Karen?
All right, there are a number of issues that the board really has to consider, and some of them really should be decided on tonight at the beginning of the project. This is in the VCN. This is a special permit for a multi-family building. It's a special permit for the use for the multi-family building, okay? So it's, and the building type is allowed. I think the first question is the affordable housing units. Right now, affordable housing units are proposed off-site. Affordable housing units, first of all, 5 affordable housing units are needed as a density bonus is requested. A density bonus is required for the number of units that they want on site here. They can have 12 units per acre by right, 24 units per acre by special permit. That's 14.98 by right, 29.96 by special permit. 21 are requested on site, so that means a density bonus is required. I don't know what density bonus is being offered, but based on a density bonus being required, 20% of the units have to be affordable, and that would be 5 units. So the question becomes to the planning board, off-site units are at the discretion of the planning board. Is the planning board going to allow off-site affordable units? I think that's the first question that direction should be given to the applicant on, because right now, they are proposing to do off-site, 4 off-site affordable units.
We met with your housing committee, and they showed us 2 existing lots that they have available. We came back and proposed 2 duplex dwellings, each consisting of 2 units, and they would be 960 square feet per unit, which seemed to satisfy the house, and I believe we have a letter.
We have a letter from the Housing Trust, which the board has indicated.
it.
As far as I know, it is 1 lot, and it's in the R2 zoning district, so it's only zoned for 1 duplex. There's significant amount of wetlands at the front of the property. So I'm not even quite sure how access would occur, but
Mr. Pollack?
In meeting with the committee, the lots they showed us, there's already been driveway access provided to get to those 2 lots, those 2 foundations, if you will.
It's a single lot, though, you're saying?
I guess,
information I've obtained from the GIS and the assessor's map is that it's a single lot, and that the lot next door was previously owned by the Affordable Housing Trust. They developed an affordable housing unit on it, which is now on Scituate subsidized housing inventory, and that's where I was explained that the access would occur from over there, but I don't really know how that would occur.
I would say just in general, affordable housing is important.
Yes.
If we can make it happen in Scituate, then I would be okay with that as a general policy. But what, in my view, would be extremely important is to know that whatever is being promised can and will be delivered. Because I wouldn't do it otherwise.
Okay.
And it sounds to me like there's some real discrepancies here that have to get worked out on this, including the difference between 5 and 4.
Correct.
But in general, my own opinion is that if that's a way to facilitate additional affordable housing, then, if the details are worked out, then I would be okay with reviewing that.
I agree with you, Steve. I do know that the Housing Trust does have that property, and they definitely would like something built on that.
Yeah.
I don't know if
I'm fine with that.
I don't know the amount of units that can go on it,
Right.
so I can't remember that.
To me, the devil's in the details on those, and those have to get worked out, otherwise I wouldn't want to approve it.
we would be happy to provide the board with the details of the site plan, the drive access, and any wetlands considerations that are on the site.
Okay.
What's
Bob?
the site location for the off-site affordable housing?
Stockbridge Road.
Oh, Stockbridge, okay.
165, 167 Stockbridge Road. It was the map I sent to you.
Okay.
So where is that exactly on Stockbridge?
It's next to
That-
163.
Is that up, well, I'm trying to get oriented here. Is that up near the affordable housing unit we looked at? That was on the corner of Stockbridge and, I'm losing my streets now.
This is the map that I sent everybody.
There it is, it's up on the screen.
It's up on the screen.
Okay. Well, I can't see, can I see yours, Karen? I can't see that.
And so as far as I know, it's saying 165, 167 on the big lot that's 1.7 or 8 something acres. 1.66 acres, but it's only
it's
showing
this one here, okay.
as 1 lot.
It's one lot.
163 that already has
With
the
a rat tail.
single-family affordable house is next door going towards Bears Lane.
Are there, just along this stretch, are there more duplexes in here?
It's a neighborhood of, I believe, single family, but I don't know,
There's a few duplexes.
I don't know, I didn't look to see if there were other duplexes there.
Okay. Bob, do you have any other comments?
No, I was just looking up the location.
Ben?
It's behind the golf.
I'm kind of on the other side of the coin. From Steve and Rebecca, I kind of feel strongly that inclusionary zoning, affordable housing should take place on the sites and housing where it isn't, why it's coming about and why it's being required. So I don't really, not super favorable to off-site affordable housing, and I know this has nothing to do with the current application, but the planning board has already gotten burned once since I've been on the, well, it happened before I was on the board, but we've dealt with the aftermath. I believe it was for the Riverway project, which was supposed to happen and never happened, so just not a big fan of that plan.
Okay. Patty?
I would agree with Ben. I think that affordable housing needs to be included in the original building. Besides Riverway, 163 Stockbridge was a problem as an affordable housing unit took years to build. I am all in favor of affordable housing. However, as Steve says, there's lots of nuances here. I would like to see a site plan for Stockbridge before I saw this. So I am not in favor of having housing, affordable housing off-site.
And I have to say, I agree as well. My concern would be that the property on Stockbridge is, in point of fact, not big enough to handle 4 houses, 4 units, when we may need a 5th, and then making sure that everything coincided so that the off-site were occupied at the same time as 7 New Driftway. I think that would enter into a bit of a conundrum. So therefore, I feel that it should be part and parcel of the development. That's how I feel. All right, Karen?
Do you want to say something, Mr.
Yeah,
Fowler?
Madam Chair, if you'd allow us, we'd like to take the time to be able to present it fully to you, show you the plan. We went into great detail with the plans of these duplexes to make them look like single-family houses. And one of the comments, or 2 of the comments made by the Housing Board was that it provided family-type living because the access was to the sides of the units and separate driveways and yard-type of opportunities which are not available in this type of living. But I defer to the board's judgment. I'd be happy to provide you a detailed plan of exactly what we're proposing. And should the board decide to look favorably upon it, I have no issue with that being a condition of approval so that that gets done first.
All right, I think it is only fair that you are allowed to put together whatever it is that you want to present to us so that we can deal with it. I think that's only fair. Okay?
Would an option then be if the affordable units were in the main building, that the off-site lot for the town could be used to build, I guess, regular priced units?
No.
Absolutely not.
No.
That's land owned by the Affordable Housing Trust.
And has been for quite some time.
Yeah, they offered it to us. They offered it to us.
I understand. It took 10 years to build one of those units. That just gives you a time frame.
So,
Well, I think just in terms of, I mean, I heard a difference of opinion here, and some of it seemed to be related to whether it could, the affordable, off-site affordable housing could get done, so that seemed to be one piece of it. Another piece, I think, from Ben's perspective, is he's just much more focused on having it all done on-site, regardless of that, and I guess, we need to make sure we give some direction here.
Yes.
Because so the flip side would be, if that's not acceptable, then are you prepared to put this unit together with affordable housing in the development?
If need be, sure.
Okay.
We leave it to the board.
All right.
all right, so there needs to be 5 affordable units, because fractions have to be rounded up. 20% of 21 is 4.2. And so 0.2 gets rounded up to 5. Because it's 20%, because you need a density bonus.
Okay,
Okay, so that's
one
That's
aspect.
one for affordable units. The next one is density bonus. Have you given any thought to what you're going to be offering the town for a density bonus?
I believe Walter Sullivan, my attorney, was working with his associate Kyler. We were talking about a financial commitment which was done in the past, similar to what was done in the past for a
So-
betterment.
So what would that financial commitment approximately be?
I think initially we were looking at a $25,000 commitment.
All right,
That's rather low compared to what was done in the past. 25,000 was only for 3 units. You have more than 3 units that a density bonus is requested on.
Then let us retake it. We'll rethink it and see and come back with a proposal.
all right, come back with a proposal.
How many additional units is it?
Karen?
Is it 9?
Well, it depends on, how many, technically, if the affordable units are off-site, they're technically part of the project. So,
Yeah, but, so assume that. So what, how many, we're just trying to get a number here.
I mean, I believe it's about 5.
5.
No, that's the density bonus. So 21 plus 5 is 26. So 26, if you have 14.9 by right, 26, so, that's,
It's really 11 then.
yeah. So that has to be considered.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else on the board? All right, next.
The site is in the Water Resource Protection District. The limits of the Zone A and Zone 2 have not been shown on the plan. You can't have more than 20% impervious with artificial recharge that won't degrade water quality. The site likely exceeds 20% coverage. There's no exception in the Zone A or Zone 2. That's not something that can be waived per the zoning bylaw. It's also likely, I'll skip ahead to drainage for a second, that the one-year storm needs to be analyzed. There's expansion in the Zone A area. I'm not sure that new pervious pavement is allowed in Zone A. No stormwater BMPs are allowed in the Zone A, according to DEP. Redevelopment can be an expansion on previously developed sites as long as there's no net increase in impervious area. Stormwater must meet, to the maximum extent practical, the BMP standards, and an alternatives analysis may be required for work in the Zone A. Very similar to 14 to 16 Old Country Way. So I'm not sure pervious pavement is an acceptable BMP for this area, but I'm going to let John talk a little bit more about drainage. Technically, the zoning bylaw says a special permit is needed for work in the Salt Marsh and Tideland Conservation District. Work is proposed there. I don't know how favorably the ZBA would look upon that. Technically, a special permit is needed from the ZBA for work in the floodplain and watershed protection district. A special permit, can be obtained for substantial improvement of structures which legally existed prior to March 2nd, 1992. New structures likely do not qualify.
Can you repeat that? That last part, sorry.
Yeah, it's, a special permit can be obtained for substantial improvement of structures which legally existed prior to March 2nd, 1992. This building, the existing medical building, legally existed prior to March 2nd, 1992. I'm not sure new structures qualify. That's right in the zoning bylaw under floodplain and watershed protection district. The wetland resource areas have to be confirmed by the Conservation Commission. Sightlines for traffic should be shown on the landscape plan. Does the board want the landscape plan stamped by a landscape architect versus an engineer?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, full landscape plan with types and sizes required, with parking lot planting, screening, and street trees shown per the zoning bylaw. All trees to be retained should be shown. The board needs to decide if they will allow parking in the front build-to zone. This can be allowed by special permit, which has been requested. There's handicapped parking in the front of the building, which they're asking for a special permit to allow to do that. Technically, that's not allowed in the zoning bylaw, but they can they're asking for a special permit for that.
Okay.
Do you want to give them some direction on that?
Well, I think you just went through a litany of many things.
Right.
Well,
And, you
Yeah.
know, it's hard to pick one out and say, okay, you can do that, and
No,
do
we
some
cannot at
things,
this
right?
point.
It just sounds like there's a lot of open questions here,
well,
which,
we do understand the existing building is non-conforming as it is.
right.
So we're working at eliminating a non-conforming structure. We also have a huge impervious pavement existing condition on the lot now, which we will address and improve, and also provide a drainage system to protect the brook, which does not exist now. So there are some trade-offs to what we're proposing against what we're dealing with.
All right.
Yeah.
And also, was there not, you had suggested that you wanted a waiver for height. It's coming in at 45.5, and our zoning bylaw does not allow anything over 40 feet.
I believe we addressed that concern by angling the building, because there's a split zone between the height allowance at so many feet off the driftway, and then the height allowance increases as the structure would be back further. My engineer has the details, have more detail. We'll present it to you
All right.
for your review.
All right. Okay. Any further question?
Oh, I have a whole list.
All right, keep going, Karen.
There should be a connection from the building to the sidewalk and sidewalks, crosswalks and handicap access needed, need a bike detail, need connection from is there any connection from the parking garage to outside? Trash removal must be addressed. Loading and service must be addressed without blocking new Driftway Road or the site driveway. Specifically, FedEx, UPS trucks, Amazon deliveries. The traffic study we received and is being peer-reviewed right now. Water and sewer study, as Mr. Pollack said, they have contracted with Weston and Sampson as DPW requested. That will be started very shortly.
Could I stop you on that one? Does that water and sewer study do more than just look at physical systems? In other words, is there a analysis of available capacity?
As part of the sewer, as part of the sewer study Weston and Sampson is going to do, DPW would ask for sizing in the street, but we're also going to do capacity, and they're going to do testing at the...
Yeah, that's all physical. What I'm talking about is really whether the town has the capacity on the water and the sewer side. Not in the pipe, but in
They're going to do flow
the
testing.
supply side and in the treatment side.
And the treatment side,
So that's going to be part of this.
yes.
I would suggest that the board ask for sections, elevations, renderings to determine if the underground garage is visible and if the penthouse is visible from any sidewalk. The penthouse is not supposed to be visible from any sidewalk. You have sidewalks on Countryway and on New Driftway. The board will need to decide if the outdoor amenity space is acceptable. The plans, 20% is required. They say they have 21.5% with a common yard and garden. The information should be on the plan. Lighting, they show lighting, but there really should be a photogrammetric plan and light details. It is recommended for the architectural details and design, including step back, setback, and height, to refer to the project to the design review committee. The building height, you brought the building height as an issue. I think we need to see how the average grade is calculated and an explanation of the walls to ensure that they are not being used to elevate the average grade. Survey should extend 100 feet from the locus as required. Truck turning movement should be provided. The building does not comply with the front build-to zone. There's a greater setback shown for corner 1 of the building, and the board was going to need to decide if that is acceptable. When they were in before, they did discuss that with you, and the reason why they've kind of angled the building a little bit and put the handicapped parking right in the front, necessitating the greater setback. The planning board will be the stormwater authority and issue the stormwater permit for this project. The planning board contacts must be listed in the drainage report. Verification of disturbance is required because we want to verify whether a NIPDIS permit is needed. Parking, 30 spaces are required, 35 are required. The planning board's going to have to decide if they're okay with 5 extra spaces. The circulation in the parking lot is one way, and that has an 18-foot aisle. The spaces are 9 by 18. Does the board think 18 feet is sufficient? Those are the major issues I have. John has identified other issues as well, and I think you should hear from John.
Okay. All right. This is a public hearing, and so I will open it up to public comment. I would request that you give your name and address, please. Raise your hand if you'd like to speak. Yes, madam.
Sitska Humphrey, 8 Labs Way. Let me take this map.
Thank you.
Sitska Humphrey, 8 Labs Way. It is a very pedestrian area, and so my concern really is how pedestrian friendly all of these new buildings are going to be in terms of height, in terms of setback from the walking path, the biking path. It's also a very sensitive area in terms of the Herring River that goes in the back, goes underground and then comes back up at the fish ladder. I'm very concerned about the health of that river to begin with, because it's being choked right now by a lot of leaves that are, not just leaves, but vegetation in the water. As the drought was happening, the herring was not able to come down the ladder and come down, but with the drought improving, there's a lot of water. I would hope that at some point in the future that is going to be a possibility again for the herring to run. Being a herring counter, I have to say I've seen very few herring over the past years. One. But in general, my concern is that whatever the planning board is going to decide, that it's going to be pedestrian friendly, that it's going to be a pleasing view, that it's not something that's going to stick up when you enter town, and that it's going to be an asset to the town rather than a concern. So that's my...
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes.
The Mary Ann Palenko, 60 New Driftway, Scituate, Massachusetts. My concern is that this is the entrance to the town of Scituate as you go down to the harbor, and it's right at the Route 123 intersection at the roundabout. And a building this size will be intrusive, I believe. And I'm also concerned, I do kayak down that marsh a lot, and I'm very concerned with the water issue as well. Because the water does go right down there, and you kayak right down to the end, which is right near there. And then I think it goes underground. Those are my two major concerns. In addition, of course, the traffic on the Driftway is unbearable at this point. And I can spend 7 minutes just sitting in my driveway waiting to find a place to get out, or wait for the traffic light to turn red. So I think this will just add extra congestion in that area, and the roundabout even now has become so difficult to get around because it's very crowded there with all the intersections. So I think it will just add to our difficulties. That's all.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else? Yes, sir.
My name is Rusty Anderson, and I'm representing the Jacob Dax Condominium Association. We are directly across the street. And as was just said, it is the entrance for, out-of-towners, in-towners, anyone going to the waterfront. And what's there now is basically a vacant building. I think it's been vacant and deteriorating for at least a decade or so. I understand it's very early in the process, but I'll just say we're hopeful that the town and the applicant can work something out so this can be developed and upgraded.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Yeah, I live off 712 Avenue, Hanover. I also am actually partner with us on over at Jake Patch as a co-owner. And my thoughts were hoping the planning board is favorable to this project because traffic is a concern, but likewise, consider someone bringing forth a project down in the marina area or downtown, and having to go through the downtown as opposed to the access to Route 38, access to 123, it's probably going to be less traffic overall. I would hope that the planning board would see that as a plus.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Yes.
My name is Bill Dillon, 137 White Street, Belmont. I'm not a Scituate resident, but I have managed this property ever since the RCO was bought it. And I want to say a couple of things. Since traffic was just talked about, I can guarantee you, as I've worked on a lot of different residential and commercial projects, the traffic count is much lower on a 21-unit residential building than what was there before, which was doctor's offices. They had, let me think, at peak, we probably had 15 to 20 professional doctors in that building. Like the lower level was a 4,000-foot women's breast x-ray center. They were, if I had access to the appointment book, I could show you in the course of the day, there were probably more than 150 visits. And then that was just the first floor. And then on the second floor, we had a dentist office, we had an optometrist, we had Dr. Salento, who was someone who serviced many people in town. That first or second level probably had 200 or 300 visits a day. Well, I don't know why you're shaking your head. Because I managed, I worked with these doctors. We had parking requirements. There were literally hundreds of visits to that building before. And I don't know if it made the traffic worse. There's been nothing at the site for a couple of years, but a residential building is going to have a lot less traffic than what was there before. Or commercial use. I also want to say, someone mentioned how this is the entrance to the town, and it's kind of a blighted entrance now. And it's not really by choice. What happened here, the building is what we call functionally obsolescent. We couldn't there was some damage from a storm, which made the building cause the water damage required, it was so extensive, and the cost to bring the building back, it was uneconomic. And when I say it's functionally obsolescent, you couldn't make it a medical building because it's not ADA accessible. There wasn't enough room to put an elevator in. It wouldn't have been cost efficient, effective. There was no way to remodel this building and make it a medical building again. We looked at restaurant uses, we looked at retail use, we've looked at many different possibilities to do something different on the site. And this is the only thing that's even come close. I'm sure everyone's not going to be happy, but there are trade-offs. And when you look at, for instance, the entire parking lot is impervious now versus what will happen. Everyone who's concerned about water runoff, this is a tremendous solution. There won't be any water runoff like there is now. And then I would like to comment on the low-income housing component. I've been involved with a number of different towns. Typically what happens when there's a fraction, they round the number up or down, depending whether it's 0.5, it gets rounded up. If it's under 0.5, it gets rounded down. So I would be interested to see the Scituate zoning that says any fraction gets rounded up. That isn't how most towns do it. To the point about whether or not the housing should be on site or in a different location. The economics of this project, this is going to be what I would consider an upper end project. And, the spirit of the affordable housing, it really makes more sense to give these people, good units, but they don't need upper-end housing. I'm not trying to be discriminatory. I'm saying, if you're a family, you're not looking to, you're of modest means, it's the fact that housing is being created is the plus. Do lower income people need to be in a penthouse unit, for instance? That isn't the spirit what affordable housing was structured for. It was to create housing units. So I think there should be some real consideration, especially if families are going to be the beneficiaries of these units. I think you should talk to the Affordable Housing Committee and understand why they said they were in favor of this. They probably feel that those units off-site are better housing than a couple of apartment units.
Thank you. Sir?
Bob Falk, 60 New Driftway, Scituate. My objection to this is not anything to improve that property area. I think something needs to be done. I'm not opposed to multiple family dwellings being built there. I have taught the people at Jake Patch development. The building is appropriate the way we come into Scituate. It's a testament to our community. This building, to me, looks like it ought to be in the Ink Park District in downtown Boston. So my objection is more to the design of the structure. I don't think it adds to the gateway to the Green Bush area. So I would ask them to look at the design of the building. I would say soften it. Try to emulate what they do at the Jacob Hatch building, which I think is a great design. We're going to have to deal with traffic, I know that. But I really think the design looks a whole lot like downtown Boston to me.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Hi, George Humphrey, 8 Lads Way, also on the board of the North South River Watershed Association. I just want to underscore a real concern about the environmental issues here. with the Herring Brook running behind the property. A lot of money has been expended in the last 15 to 20 years in Greenbush to try to restore the marshes and the flow of water. I believe there's a project that the town is looking at with state funds to rebuild the dam to make it more efficient and to include a more efficient fish ladder. So there's progress towards restoring some of the environmental issues here, and I hate to see this project get in the way of that. So anything having to do with stormwater runoff, water and sewer issues, just ask you to have an extra set of eyes on those plans.
Not to worry. Okay, anyone else? Yes.
Sean Harris, 26 Ridge Hill Road. I've lived here my whole life, and my office is right around the corner. I plowed the parking lot for a number of years, so you're talking about impervious material. I mean, it took me 2 hours to plow that parking lot. Anything's going to be better than that. I don't see how a project like this is going to hurt that brook. If you really want to help that brook, the town should have bought the house on the other side of the brook when it was for sale. That old house that sits down underwater. There are a lot of good points made. I think, maybe it could be tweaked. The Jacob Hatch building is a nice looking building, and I've sat on the board and listened to a lot of meetings about that, and they've done a great job kind of having it set back with a lot of trees and so forth. So maybe something could be done, but the Osceolas have been a good neighbor. They could probably do other things with it. I don't know about like a big restaurant or something like that. I always thought it would be good there. I don't think this is such a bad thing coming into Scituate. I think Greenbush is changing fast.
Right. Thank you, Sean. Anyone else? Karen?
I'd just like to reiterate that the traffic is being peer-reviewed right now. They did a traffic study, and hopefully at our next meeting, we will have, both traffic engineers present, and they will be able to make their side of the argument for traffic.
Okay.
And I would like to point out, under Section 754 of the zoning bylaw, Section 54.1B3, it talks about density bonuses. When density bonuses require, any fractional unit shall be deemed to constitute a whole unit.
Okay.
And so I think John should give you some viewpoints about the drainage for the project.
Okay. All right, well, we have heard from the public, and, yes?
Sir, I guess one thing, speaking to the public's comments about the overall aesthetic of the area, the whole Rotary area, I was wondering if you could possibly get make a rendering from a typical position on the other side of the Rotary, so you could see the Rotary,
Sure.
maybe see the Jacob Hatch building, and see the proposed building, so we get an idea of what the scale is.
Sure.
How it
We do that.
looks. I think that would help out a lot.
One of the other things, which we didn't realize, your design review committee doesn't take place until after we're done with planning?
No.
Yes.
Yes?
You refer it to design, hopefully you're going to review it to design review committee tonight.
Yes.
It's concurrent.
We would welcome
Concurrent.
their
Yeah, it's done concurrently. We
No, not
we wait
afterwards.
for their recommendations. Right, so.
Right, but you've been waiting till after the public hearing opens to refer them
Right.
to design.
So-
So are you referring it to the design review committee?
Yes, we are referring it to design review.
So I will be contacting the design review committee to try to find out when some acceptable dates are, and then I will get back to you, and we can try to find a mutually agreeable date that works for you, so that that meeting can occur before the next public
That'd
hearing
be great,
session.
sooner the better. Thank you.
I have another question for you that we didn't talk about yet, but just have you evaluated sort of the construction and all of that with respect to noise? Is this specially insulated or anything else? I mean, this is right in the middle of the Rotary, basically.
Right, this building will be done with the foam process of insulation, so it acts as a sound deadening as well. They'll be very quiet units.
I think what we want to avoid is complaints after people move in
Oh,
about the
absolutely.
noise.
Right.
Because at that point, we won't be able to do anything about it.
All right, Rebecca, anything? No? Anybody else? All right, we have a laundry list of things on both sides to deal with this. Excuse me, yes, we have a laundry list. So, on that note, I move to accept...
and-
What?
No, you haven't said Mr. Chesney.
John,
Mr.
I didn't even see him. There you are. John, sorry.
So, my letter has a lot of the same stuff that Karen already brought up, but from a stormwater perspective, so it's obviously a developed site with a lot of impervious area, and the intent of their project is to make it slightly less impervious area. And what they're proposing to do is to drain the roof to the brook, but it doesn't show how. I think that's an issue. They have a porous pavement patio on the rotary side. What they really need to show is where we already talked about this, where the Zone A limits are, where the Zone 2 limits are. They show the Water Resource Protection District and this sub-district within it. It's in a critical area from stormwater perspective because the Zone A, you basically can't put anything. No stormwater, devices in it. Zone 2 has limitations. First Herring Brook is tributary to a shellfish area, so it's critical for that as well. You can't harvest the shellfish there for most of it, but that doesn't mean we should continue to pollute it, so we never can. So those are factors that come into play. The stormwater for the parking lot, there's a trench drain at the garage, which would provide no treatment. Then there's some catch basins, and they go into a proprietary treatment unit, and then that sort of dashed box on the edge there is an underground infiltration system. There were some test pits dug, but based on my review of the test pits, I believe that that area is filled. This was, I mean, look across the street, it's a salt marsh. This brook right there that's got a slope that's clearly revetment fill, and the test pits indicated organics at like 5-6 feet or deeper. So you wouldn't have organics below natural soil unless, in very rare instances, you might. If you go to Peggy Beach, you might see salt marsh because you know that the beach has come back quite a ways. But at this location, that's unlikely to be the case then compared to like a buried beach with salt marsh behind it. So I'm recommending that we maybe have some more test pits than they've witnessed to see what it really looks like and confirm that that is or isn't the case. Because above it was sand, but just down the street was a massive sand and gravel at one point. They probably would have brought some sand over there when they built it. This could have been filled 100 years ago for all we know, but I mean, it probably was filled. Maybe not on the west side closer to the pond, but I mean, I'm sure that was a marsh and swampy area where the brook came through. They built the dam to make the mill, and they've probably been filling it ever since. So that's a factor I think needs to be determined how that was going to work. And so that what would happen is that system there would have some infiltration, but it does have an outlet and it does flow out to the brook. In bigger, small storm might get infiltrated if it works. The bigger storms would discharge off to the brook on the east side. So that's kind of how it functions. So I think, I have a bunch of stuff in there that they can go through, but you're likely to meet the rate because if you remove impervious area, you're going to not have much more runoff, right? You do have point discharges that are different than what currently exists. Right now, what there are is along the edge of the brook, and spots where there's sort of paved or concrete little sort of scupper, they call it. So there's there'll be parking lot, and there'll just be a slight low spot that just goes right down into the brook. So that's not good. You wouldn't be allowed to do it today, but I think they would definitely need to make it better. The conflict with the drainage is that the Water Resource Protection District has its own independent requirements from DEP, which may view this as a redevelopment, but the Water Protection District doesn't necessarily take that into account. So there's some discussion that has to happen with that. I'm not sure how that works to get around those issues. It might be some sort of zoning decision or something. That's stuff that will need to be figured out as part of it.
Madam Chair, if I could, we were just given John's report this evening.
I
We have
understand.
not had any opportunity.
I understand. I understand.
Like I said, 90% of my stuff Karen already covered, so that,
Okay, all right.
unless there's questions, I think that's sort of the general.
Do you all have any questions of John?
I'm just interested in this comment about some of the drainage that's going into the brook now. Does the proposal propose to correct that?
Yeah, they would basically, if you look at the site, the whole site basically gets sort of lifted up, and there's a retaining wall along the side of the parking lot towards the brook. It's kind of a dark line. There's a retaining wall sort of around the whole building, pretty much. So that would come up, and by doing that, they can tip the pavement away from the brook into the catch basins, which there's a few catch basins. I don't know if this plan actually shows. Okay, that plan does. So there's a trench drain at the garage. There's a catch basin, a pair at the entrance. There's another one in the parking lot at the corner, sort of by where the entrance to the garage is, right there. And I believe there's another one at the other corner of the parking lot, towards the brook right there. Yeah, so the two ends of the parking lot, two entrance points, and then a trench drain. But trench drain doesn't provide any treatment, so that would have to be dealt with at some point. And then the boxes is one of those underground chamber type systems, and if you look at the square, dark square, that's the outlet. And we don't know where the building outlets, but even though a roof is clean for pre-treatment, it is supposed to be treated under normal conditions. So there would just be probably a direct discharge, but the building's very close to the bank of the brook compared to the current building. It's moved back quite a bit. And that could be an issue too, because this is also riverfront and wetlands. And one of the other issues that's not a drainage issue, but there are some large existing trees along that back side by the brook that aren't shown on the plan and would probably be impacted by this. So I think all of the larger existing trees should be shown according to your regulations. And there are some there. They do show some towards the rotary, and there's some other trees, maybe not as big around the building that's there now. They're more, there's one in the front that's kind of not attractive looking at this point. It looks like it's a little beat up. But there's some pretty nice big ones in the back, right near the road. Those are what your bylaw wants to save.
All right.
I don't think we're saving the retaining wall and all that work right that close.
Okay, anything else? Karen? We all set?
All set. I will start to arrange a meeting with the design review committee, and, once we get the traffic speed and peer reviewed, and hopefully the water and sewer will get done, and that should be hopefully in time to be peer reviewed for the next meeting.
Great. All right, now, I move to accept the applicant's request to continue the public hearing for site plan administrative review and special permit for multifamily building in the Village Center and Neighborhood District, Greenbush Gateway District, Greenbush Gateway Business Subdistrict, VCN, GDG, GWB until January 13th, 2022 at 6:30 p.m. and to continue the time for action for filing with the town clerk until April 1st, 2022.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you all very
Thank you.
much. What would I do without you?
What's that?
I said, what would I do without you?
Well, I'm sure you survived a long time without me.
You're right. So, how do you feel about this project? Oh, wait, you know what, we won't talk about it now.
Yeah, but it just feels like there's a lot of work to do, that it's kind of partially thought through. You know?
You're right, you're right.
I mean, what I really worry about is we wanted a gateway into Scituate, and we took great pains to make sure, like the gas station, the gas pumps
Backwards,
were
yep,
behind and
yep.
stuff, so we should have as much attention to this parcel as well.
You're right. You're so right. Okay, we have a continued public hearing Karen, excuse me for 1 second. Bob Berwick is here. He's not on the...
No,
he was just here as a resident.
Okay, thank you.
Resident, yep.
All right. We have a continued public hearing, stormwater permit for 16 Man Hill Road, Assessors Map Block Lot Portion, 27-79A. Applicant owner Susan Stone. Hello, Paul.
Hello, Ann, members of the board.
Okay. So, Karen.
So, since the last meeting, we've received, I think, one iteration. It's been reviewed by Peter Palmieri, who basically agrees that all the issues have been resolved, and that, you know, with the understanding that additional test pit has to be done, and that's going to be done, you know, I recommended a condition, you know, within 15 days of approval, but that everything, it's satisfied rate and volume of runoff. There's no increase in rate and volume.
All right, comments from the board? Steve?
No, I think that's an appropriate condition, that the test pits get done, everything gets reviewed again, and any modifications that have to happen, right? If the test pits sort of dictate a change in design, I would expect to see the change in design.
Anyone else? Okay, this is a public hearing, and I'm not going to neglect the public. Any comments? Okay. All right, I have to say, Paul, I'm not really terribly happy with this, but I have been informed that this is probably the best that we will get as far as this stormwater permit is concerned, for a number of different reasons. So, no other further comment from the board's members? All right.
I don't think so.
Okay. All right, the stormwater permit plan dated June 4, 2021, with revisions through 10/17/21, and stormwater report for the Scituate stormwater permit dated 6/4/21, with revisions through 10/8/21, are approved with the conditions noted below. 1, construction shall comply with the stormwater permit dated 6/4/21 with revisions through 10/17/21, and stormwater report for the Scituate stormwater permit dated 6/4/21 with revisions through 10/8/21 by Gregory J. Tansey, P.E. of Russ Engineering Company, Inc., and long-term operation and maintenance plan for 16 Man Hill Road, latest revision 9/15/21, except as they may be modified to conform to the conditions below. Any or all owners of the property or site contractors for grading, site work, and installation of utilities, foundations, and/or driveways shall be advised of this approval and these conditions. A copy of the approved plan shall be kept on the site at all times during construction. 2, any plan changes or changes from the proposed materials shall be submitted to the planning office to determine if the changes are insignificant or require a permit modification approved by the town planner or planning board. The stormwater management system including swales, bioretention area, grading, dwelling, and site amenity locations shall not be changed or expanded without the prior written approval of the issuing authority. Expansion includes additional pavement areas. Failure to obtain written approval is a violation of the Town of Scituate general bylaw and subject to fines. 3, copies of this approval and the approved stormwater permit plan shall be provided to subsequent owners who shall be advised of the need for periodic maintenance of the stormwater system and the need to retain the grading of the lot as approved. Prior to the transfer of the property, the owner shall provide to the subsequent owner and the planning office an inspection report certified by a professional engineer showing compliance with the operation and maintenance plan. The planning office must receive written notification at least 48 hours prior to any change in the ownership of the property occurring during construction. 4, where this stormwater permit requires approval, permitting or licensing from any local, state, or federal agency, such permitting or licensing is deemed a condition of the stormwater permit. All necessary permits and approvals must be received prior to commencement of construction. 5, the applicant shall consent to allow members and town officials from the planning board and other persons acting under the planning board or its agents to enter upon any lands and carry out such inspections as may be deemed necessary. The applicant shall cooperate with the planning board and town officials and assist them in their effort to verify the layout, design, and construction work for the stormwater permit are satisfactory and conform to town specifications and requirements of the board. 6, the NPDES permit shall be provided to the planning office 48 hours prior to any site work. Stormwater pollution prevention plan, SWIP, inspection reports shall be provided to the planning office after every half-inch rain event and weekly. Failure to comply with the NIPSIS permit is a violation of this stormwater permit. The NIPSIS permit shall contain the proper landowners. 7, this stormwater permit must be recorded at the Registry of Deeds with proof furnished to the planning office prior to construction. Failure to record the stormwater permit is a violation of the permit and subject to fines included in the Town of Scituate general bylaws. 8, the temporary easement shall be recorded prior to construction with proof of recording furnished to the planning office prior to construction. 9, additional soil testing shall be performed at the location of the proposed bioretention area within 15 days of the stormwater permit approval. The test must be witnessed by the planning board's consulting engineer with costs to be borne by the applicant. Failure to comply shall deem the permit invalid. A new plan is required to be submitted prior to construction showing the location of the soil testing in the bioretention area with the soil profile. 10, the swales, trench drain, pipe, and bioretention area shall be installed to have the bottom elevation a minimum of 2 feet above seasonal high groundwater elevations. Stormwater during construction as well as after construction is not allowed to increase in rate or volume to adjacent properties. 11, no clearing beyond the limit of clearing / erosion control line as shown on the plan is allowed. The limit of clearing shall be staked in the field prior to construction commencing and shall be maintained throughout the construction phase. 12, construction work shall not begin prior to 7 a.m. on weekdays and 8 a.m. on Saturdays and shall cease no later than 7 p.m. No construction shall take or sunset.
Yep,
Or sunset.
whichever is earlier.
Yes. Whichever is earlier. No construction shall take place on Sundays or legal state or federal holidays. Construction work includes any operation of machinery and idling of vehicles. No truck idling on site or on adjacent streets is allowed. 13, bioretention areas or swales must be retained and maintained as designed as they are components of the stormwater management system. Maintenance must be per the approved operation and maintenance plan. 14, a stabilized construction entrance per the plan details shall be installed prior to any work on the site and shall be maintained throughout construction. 15, prior to any land disturbance, erosion control shall be installed and inspected by the town planner or approved agent. At this time, the site shall also be staked to show the house and drainage improvements. All stockpiles shall be surrounded by an erosion control barrier. Additional erosion control, such as silt fence, siltsock, and/or hay bales placed prior to a precipitation event may be needed to prevent sediment from reaching the road or adjacent properties during construction. All erosion control shall be installed per the plan and shall be maintained in good working condition throughout construction. 16, the town planner shall be notified when installation of the construction entrance and erosion control are complete. If any permit inspection is being requested, this notification shall occur 48 hours in advance of an inspection. 17, the sequence of construction shall be according to the plan. The proposed sediment trap must be in place prior to excavation of the foundation. 18, no on-street parking or loading or unloading of construction equipment or vehicles shall be permitted during construction unless a police detail is provided if warranted as determined by the police department. Noise mitigation and proper dust controls shall be used. 19, a landscape screening plan for the south corner of the property must be provided to the planning office for approval prior to installation. The screen shall consist of evergreen and deciduous plants and be designed not to interfere with the drainage swale. The minimum planting shown on the stormwater permit site plan must occur. 20, all disturbed areas associated with the stormwater permit shall be loamed and seeded with 6 inches of loam. 21, a pre-construction conference will be required on-site to verify the contractor is aware of the stormwater permit conditions and required inspections. Recording of the permit must occur prior to the pre-construction conference with proof of recording furnished to the planning office. 22, construction inspections will be provided as follows. A, all inspections for the town shall be performed by the town planner or a designated representative of the planning department or planning board and by the record design engineer. All inspections shall be documented with written reports that describe compliance with the approved plans and supporting application documents and construction specifications. Any variations shall be noted. B, the town planner and record design engineer must be notified 48 hours prior to 1, installation of construction entrance and erosion control, and staking of corners of the dwelling, limit of work, driveway, and the drainage improvements. 2, excavation of the proposed sediment trap. 3, excavation of bioretention area. 4, installation of bioretention area. 5, rough grading of site including swales and driveway to verify grades are as designed, including slope of the driveway. 6, finish grading of all swales and bioretention area, including outlet elevation and the bioretention area with the elevations submitted to the town planner and design engineer for verification. 7, inspection of the site amenities, including driveway, walk-in pool, and permeable paver patio, landscape screen and loom, and seated areas. 8, inspection of final completion of site work, including cleanup to determine compliance with the conditions prior to the issuance of a certificate of completion, a COC. Work shall be subject to removal if necessary. Inspections are not requested. If the property is sold prior to completion of the work, the planning board reserves the right to inform the buyer that the stormwater management system is incomplete. Spot grades shall be performed during rough grading and finish grading to ensure any swales will drain and no stormwater will be present.
I just have one change according to condition 9, following up on what Steve said. I didn't know if you wanted to add at the end of that, if any change in design is needed due to conditions of the test pit not being the same as assumed, it shall be submitted to the board prior to the construction for review and approval.
Fine.
Yep.
Okay.
It's on my list.
Okay, Steve?
Just wanted to see if I had anything else. Just a question for you, Karen, on number 3, we say 48 hours. written notification of change in ownership. Seems like kind of a short period of time. Is that enough time?
Okay, so.
I mean, 48 hours, it could be like, you get it on a Friday, and, you get it on a Monday kind of thing.
So what would you like?
I would suggest a week,
Okay, we'll say 1 week.
yeah. That way, you have an opportunity if there's something you need to do, or we need to do.
Okay,
We have plenty. And it shouldn't be any mystery if there's a new property owner.
okay.
Should have plenty of advance notice. Number 6, it says the NIPD's permit shall contain the proper landowners. I'm not sure what you were trying to get at there. Maybe just need a few more words.
Right now, we have a copy of the permit that was filed with the EPA, and it's issued to Mr. Terrell. It's not issued to the Stones.
Okay.
And so the Stones should be included in that. And so that's why I said the proper landowners, because the permit is being issued to the Stones, not Mr. Terrell.
So the NIPD's permit shall be issued to the landowner then?
Right, but I mean, it can be issued to several landowners because it's part of a common development, but it's got to list all the proper landowners. I don't actually have the NIPD's permit. All I have is the form from the EPA that says it was okay to start. That's 2 years old.
Okay, so I'm just trying to reword it a little bit.
Okay,
The
so-
NIPD's permit shall list all, you say proper, what does that mean?
All landowners,
Every landowner, right?
the NIPD's permit shall list all the landowners.
Right,
Okay?
yeah. Proper is kind of just a,
Okay.
it's a little harder to do. And then on number 8, the easement's going to be recorded.
Yep.
Just a question on that. When the work is done, there's going to be a final grade established
Yep.
that would include the final grade in the easement, right? In other words, it's going to go all the way to where they graded in the grading easement?
I mean, what's going to happen to the fill in the easement?
I'm just trying to establish a baseline, right? So they build this thing out, and then they're going to grade on somebody else's property,
Right.
right? So are we going to have a finished grade there?
The finished grade will be on somebody else's property.
I know, but will we have a record of what it is? Will that be
Yeah,
submitted?
you have an as-built.
So
Did I not
so
put?
they will
Did I not put
submit,
an as-built in here?
I didn't read one.
Oh, crap.
No, we don't have one of those.
All right, let's put
Okay.
an as-built as required.
An as-built is required, okay. Number what? 23? 24?
23.
23. As-built is required. Okay.
yeah, and so what I wanted to say on number 8 with respect to the temporary easement then is that, the final as-built grade on the temporary easement shall be the basis of any, sort of the basis of any future, I guess,
Further
permitting, right?
Or further permitting, or...
Yeah. Or, once they've done it, once the easement expires, then, as I said before, people could change anything, right? But we want to have, at least for that property, a final record of what it was, because that's what we'd want people to work from.
The final as-built grade on the temporary easement is the basis for future development.
Right.
Okay.
All right.
9.
I realized I forgot another condition.
On 13, we say the bioretention areas or swales must be retained and maintained. And I wasn't quite sure why we called that out specifically. What was your concern that somebody may
I just want to
Fill them
make
in?
sure that they don't fill it in.
Right, I make a
Okay.
garden out of it.
It's outlined in the O and M plan, but I just wanted to re-highlight it.
Okay. Somewhere, you may have captured this already, but somewhere I wanted to get the notion in that the applicant's responsible for maintaining and managing stormwater on-site throughout the construction period and during the transition to fully functional operations and maintenance.
Okay, so what I did, I said in number 17, the sequence of construction shall be according to the plan. The proposed sediment trap must be in place prior to excavation of the foundation. So we can add what,
Well, I was actually looking at doing this on 15, and it's a broader statement, and it's
Okay,
the
so-
one we run up across all the time, right?
so what do you want me to say?
So I'll give you I wrote it here, so I can give it to you, but what I'm saying is applicant is responsible for maintaining and managing stormwater on-site throughout the construction period and during the transition to fully functional operations and maintenance. And maybe there's different terminology you want there. Construction approval in no way relieves the applicant from its obligations to ensure stormwater does not impact the abutting properties.
All right, if you can send me that,
Yeah.
that would
I'll send it to you.
that would be good.
I think we want to
Yep.
try to get some standard language like that in these.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep.
Okay.
All right, and so,
That was everything. Just
All right. I will-
ensure is with an E, right? The last,
which one?
second to last
Second
sentence.
to last sentence.
Just a typo.
I realized typical condition I normally put is an as-built is required to be submitted prior to obtaining a certificate of completion. And a $5,000 surety bond is required to ensure stormwater inspections occur and an as-built is submitted. I have some other language that I typically add in the as-built, that the design engineer has to, has to be signed and stamped by the design engineer and the, surveyor, I'll put that, standard language in there.
I just sent that language to you. Your
Okay.
email.
All right, thank you.
Anything else from anybody? I'll have it second as amended. Yes.
Mr. Marabito, you know that this has been a long, long process. You are very concerned neighbors. Really don't want to be out here like every other day with the problem. You can bet that these people got to know all of these conditions by heart. Please, 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 do more than our very best to adhere to all of them.
I did not like the stormwater permit at all, but
So you notice I put one other caution thing in here, that not only does the town planner have to be notified, but the design engineer has to be notified. And that's to keep them totally in the loop so they know what's going on during this whole construction process of this stormwater permit. So that hopefully will help with the process.
You say the design engineer, you mean the engineer of record who designed the system? Is that right?
Yes,
Okay.
or we can work some, or the office of the engineer. I can come up with some magic language on that tomorrow.
Oh, when you say, that's what I'm trying to understand. Are you talking building department?
No, I'm talking about Mr. Marabito's office.
Oh, yeah. Well, they're the record engineer, right? Or engineer of record?
There is an engineer of record, but there's extenuating circumstances here.
Okay. I'll take your word for it.
The record engineer is leaving Mr. Marabito's employment, so,
Oh, yeah, so I'm assuming the firm is the,
right,
is
so I'm going to
the
say.
engineer
the
of record.
In-record design engineering firm.
Yeah.
Why don't I say
Perfect.
that?
Yeah.
Perfect. That's
Thank
you.
It's me.
That's you. All right. I'll entertain a second as amended.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Do we need to close the public hearing?
Yes.
Move to close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
It's done.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Good luck.
Happy Halloween. Happy Halloween.
Oh, thank you. Happy Halloween.
Oh, boy. Please, may it all just go away.
What's that?
Okay, we now have reports from the town planner.
Do you have any liaison reports?
We're not liaison,
Did we do a liaison?
Layers on.
I don't know.
You don't have any.
Well, town meeting was the other night. 750 people attended. We bought the property, hopefully. And, no.
Well,
Yeah,
the
me
big,
too.
the master plan was
Was
approved
en-
at town meeting.
endorsed.
Administratively, but
What's that?
approved nonetheless. The master plan was
Was
formally
endorsed.
approved at town meeting.
Unfortunately, I had to go out of town, so I missed it.
Oh, it was.
There wasn't much debate. They put it on the consent agenda and no one
was
held
that.
it and it just
No one really cared about much of anything except the property.
getting home. Or
Yeah,
getting
getting
home.
And that was approved, right?
Oh, yes, overwhelmingly.
The other issue that, to Steve's point at a prior meeting, was that ball field. If you read the decision for the senior center, that is our overflow parking. That's a huge issue. That's just,
Yeah. We're still waiting for that study, right?
It's ongoing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was a 6-month time period.
6 months,
It
yeah.
started August 2nd, so,
It's going to go into the winter then.
yeah, it's going to go into the winter, so it's ongoing.
Is that building being used for sheltering?
well, it wasn't yesterday, which I found very interesting. I thought that was supposed to be our to-go-to shelter for the storm, but there were 4 cars there yesterday.
It was lit up, though.
Today
They
it
had the
was.
generator running, right?
Oh, that wonderful generator.
That generator.
Big
that
ass
just-
generator right in the
I
middle
mean,
of it.
I don't know in the first wave if there was that many, there was a lot of wind, but I don't know how many people, I feel like the water wasn't coming over the first night.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, it's been in the 50s or
Yeah.
high 40s, so it's not like really cold yet.
Eventually it gets a lot.
Yeah, this would have been much worse in February.
Oh, my goodness.
Well, we've been through that before.
Yeah.
That before.
I think Nemo was 4 days, I remember.
But I do think that that's one of the issues that we need to look at, since the senior center really, we haven't signed off on all of that stuff yet, right?
Nope.
No. So,
Okay, we have your report. Do you have anything to report?
Yes, so you're reminded that most of you said you're going to come to Drew on Tuesday night at 4:30 to look at the mock-up.
Where are we meeting?
So you're meeting, go in off of New Driftway, and there's the parking area outside the trailer. So we'll meet outside the trailer area before we go into the fence area and go in. Since construction will be stopped for the day, you don't have to have hard hats and all that lovely gear.
so that's the second?
Yes.
I mean, it's no deliberations, it's a site visit, so therefore it's not being posted because you don't have to post site visits. The Rotary Safety Audit for Drew is being scheduled on December 2nd from 1 to 4 in the afternoon. That was a condition of their special permit, and so VHB will be there, Police and Fire will be there, Mass DOT, and MAPC. So that is gonna, we've got the time arranged, but they're gonna be sending out the email on that. Next week, we have a planning board meeting, two back-to-back meetings, because we have 2 holidays in November, and so our meeting schedule is a little bit shifted around. And that's kind of, we continue to be very busy with projects and pre-project meetings, et cetera.
Was, I know this storm was less of a rainmaker than predicted, but was there any issues from that you're aware of with stormwater during?
Not that I'm aware of. I mean,
Everything okay at Toll Brothers?
Ann and I went to Toll Brothers today. The purpose was to review some units for the permeable paving, which for the second time were unsatisfactory. But there doesn't appear to be any issues. They pumped from the sump up to the pond, but they only pumped to the lower basin, Basin E. They didn't have to pump any of that up, and it was way down today. So I think the glass that's, taken hold has done a lot. There were a lot of geese in the basin over by, and there was water in the basin by Tilden Road. But of course, we know none of the basins function properly.
Right.
And that all has to be taken account in the end.
And they still have that temporary diversion going
Yes.
back up, right?
Yes,
They're
yes.
pumping back up, yeah.
So I've been told there's supposed to be a meeting at some point, to talk about removal of the sump by Norwell Terrace, and that has not happened. I mean, we have expressed our utmost concern when that happens, because they still needed to pump up.
Yeah, that's the thing, right?
So,
They're managing it by mechanical means right now.
Right, and so, we had said we wanted the sump in place through hurricane season, but, so, ongoing, but.
We'll get another test Saturday.
So how about trees down and all that stuff, everything's, how was that over there?
Nothing, it's fine.
No trees left.
No trees
There-
left over
There are no
there.
trees.
They took them down
Down
already.
there, they took them all down already.
So I heard some of the trees fell into the wetland on the Tilden Road side, but I don't know what the status of that is.
Yeah.
The tree devastation is just overwhelming. I can't believe it.
I have never seen
Yeah.
such devastation.
It's really not impressive. I don't know what you call it, but
Oh, and the
it's all out of
biggest
it.
trees?
The whole
Biggest
ball.
trees.
Biggest
Yeah.
trees.
Yeah. Whole
They
wood balls
almost
just
look
go
like some
right
of
out.
them, you could just lift them back up and stick them back.
I know.
We topped out at like 98 miles an hour or something. That's what
Yeah.
the weather in Scituate said. It's quick.
There was one gust that went through that, anyway. Okay, anything else, Karen?
Nope.
All right,
See you Thursday.
we'll see you Thursday. I'll
Tuesday
entertain.
first.
Tuesday.
Tuesday then?
Tuesday and Thursday.
Right,
Okay.
all right, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.